Welcome to Mind Your Business, the podcast that brings in real entrepreneurs, tells their stories of success and failure, and offers tips on how to grow your own business, all told through compelling conversation. Get ready to laugh and learn while some pop culture and comedy are added into the mix. Now, here's your podcast master, Andrew Lambert.
Welcome to Mind Your Business. I'm your podcast master, Andrew Lambert, and we are on the road with today's special episode with three of my friends. I've actually got to know all these guys, and we are inside the Greater Bloomington Chamber of Commerce offices. So let me do a quick introduction. I got Mike McAfee, and you are with Visit Bloomington. Welcome.
Thank you.
I also have Eric Spoonmore, the Director of the Chamber of Commerce. Welcome.
Thank you, Andrew. Glad to be here.
And also, I got Mr. Doug Booher with Indiana University.
Thanks, Andrew. Happy to be here.
And he reminded me what his full title was, and I was going to flub it. So we were just going to say Indiana University needs Doug Booher. We'll do that. So thank you guys for doing it. Well, the reason why we're here today, we've come together because something unique is happening in roughly 2 months from now called the solar eclipse. And it's the first time in many, many years that Bloomington is going to be in the direct side. I mean, right over it, full eclipse. I hope I'm saying that right. And each of these organizations are really taking some important time to not only welcome, but invest in the community as all these outside visitors come. So I wanted to start with Mike because he's a little bit of a historian on this. So I want to talk about, I know I'm putting you on the spot, but you had some great history notes about past solar eclipse. So let's start with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Bloomington, actually, the university has quite a history with the eclipse going back to the first president, President Wiley, in 1869 at the Wiley House, which was when IU was just down the street here in town, and they built the Wiley House. He actually built a catwalk for the 1869 eclipse so that they could see it. And he was his brother was a science professor. I'm not even sure what you call him at that time, but as well. And so they were very much into that. People from all over the world came and watched the eclipse. Then a few years, this is fascinating to me. A few years later, he went to Boulder, Colorado to see the next eclipse. And this is what always sticks out to me. He befriended Thomas Edison on the mountainside in Boulder. And I just think that's fascinating. But so there's quite a bit of a history there with Wiley House and the university. And we're going to talk about college towns and eclipses in a little bit. But I just think it's fascinating.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, Eric, we got a lot of small businesses here in town. I know they're gearing up for it. What's the chamber doing trying to support them?
Well, we're trying to take advantage of the huge influx of visitors that we're going to see for this event. You know, this is kind of a once-in-a-lifetime thing. A lot of our small businesses are very interested in understanding how can we accommodate the influx of visitors, how that's going to impact their operations, what they need to be aware of in terms of emergency responses, public safety, getting supplies in place for restaurants and various enterprises like that. So we're hopeful that this discussion will provide a lot of that valuable information that we can get back to our business community here so that they can fully prepare for all the excitement that we're about to experience on April 8th.
And I think we know people tune in from outside of Bloomington. So to set kind of the idea for them, we really have a downtown square, which a lot of businesses are located, and then a main strip called Kirkwood, which is restaurants, bars, and stuff. And I would say on a normal weekend, what IU has 50,000 people. So you have that, you have visitors and stuff, but what kind of numbers do you think, and this is estimated, what's the busiest you think, and this is for all three of you, what's the busiest you think Bloomington's ever been? Like a big game, graduation weekend, when we had those summits back in the day, what were those numbers like?
Yeah, I think, when you look at the kind of historic draw that Bloomington has with its major events, I think most of us tend to think about that as a sold out Ohio State game. For football. And what we're anticipating for this could be 4 or 5 times what we see for one of those games. And so, I've been talking to all of our colleagues at the university about, we're going to be hosting 5 simultaneous Ohio State sold out games. And so that's been kind of the approach that we've taken to help wrap people's mind around what's going to happen. because it's something that we've never seen a crowd of this size before in Monroe County.
So help me remember, what was that crowd size? Was that 50,000 extra people in town, or what was
Yeah.
We
We typically see 40 or 50,000 people that will come in. Obviously, a lot of the tickets are already sold to our own folks.
Sure.
But people want to be there. They want to be in the environment and tailgate and all of that. And so we anticipate a lot of the same types of activities during this eclipse. But we also have a lot of people who are purely drawn by the eclipse itself and not the atmosphere. And so it's a confluence of a lot of different interests coming to Bloomington all at once.
So, Mike, going back to you for a second, how do you feel Visit Bloomington can capture this data? Because, I mean, the money's important. I'm going to talk to Eric about that. But, I mean, what are you guys doing to be like, wow, this is people coming from all over the world?
Sure. We're in the direct line of totality. One of at 3:04. Or 3:00 in the afternoon on Monday, April 8th, for about 4 minutes. Will be totally dark, but that cosmic event will last for a few hours there. It'll slowly, gradually take place there, and just based upon other college towns, we're an incredibly popular destination due to our size and obviously home of the university. And Doug was exactly right the way he talked about the stadium. I mean, those are what we base our numbers on and what we're looking at. But when you go back and look at what happened in some other college towns similar to Bloomington in 2017,
can you give us an example of one of the other
Carbondale,
towns?
Illinois is a perfect one that we've been, University of Missouri and in Columbia, Missouri, we've been talking to our friends in both of those destinations about what happened there and the size of crowds they saw and what they did and how they handled it. So we've kind of been basing everything that we're doing on that. And Visit Bloomington, we're a sales and marketing organization. This is a time where we're worried about it. It's important to us, but we're mostly concerned about people having a safe, good experience, so that when they leave here, they're like, wow, that was great. I want to go back there for another time or something like that. And of course, what Eric talked about with our businesses. But as Doug said, we literally, it's incredibly unpredictable. Tens of thousands of visitors and tens of thousands is low, but like he said, it could be the size of 3 or 4 football games. So maybe anywhere from 150,000 to 350,000 people coming into Monroe County. Luckily, in addition to the amazing event, I think probably one of the best events in the country to see the eclipse is happening at Memorial Stadium on that day. We also have at least 7 other events happening in the Monroe County area that people can go to for different things that they want to experience with the eclipse, which is great because it's all spread out around the county.
And
so
we'll get to those, right?
I could rattle them off at any time. But
I want to turn to Eric for a second, because have you reached out to other chambers that have been impacted in the past yet, or will you do that to talk to them about kind of what their experience was?
Well, yeah, we've been doing a lot of data collection and understanding. This is kind of the tricky part of all of this is the predicting what the number of visitors will be in the community. If I could have one superhuman power, I would probably try to predict the future. The first thing I'd do is probably go out and get the winning lottery ticket. But a close second would be predicting the number of people that will be coming to our community for this event, because I get constant questions about that. There's not a day that has gone by in the last month where a member hasn't contacted me or somebody in the community has said, hey, Eric, how many people are we going to have in Monroe County for the eclipse? So, we really do want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to plan. We've got great partners who are doing that. We know we're going to have a big crowd here. I mean, and thanks to the work of Indiana University, the investments they're making in this event, and so many other organizations, this will have a real ripple effect on our community. So one of my predecessors, Steve Howard, who used to run the chamber years ago, one of his mantras was, we love visitors, because when they come to town, they spend their money and then they leave. And that's great. They keep the money here locally. And we really like that, because that helps our small businesses, that helps our workforce. And we really want to roll out the red carpet to show people that Monroe County is a great place. We're open for business. We want our small businesses to be able to take advantage of this influx of tourism and people that will be here wanting to spend their dollars in their restaurants and shops and so forth. And so we're excited about all of the possibilities for that, and excited for the business community to be able to take advantage of that.
Do it. All right, Doug, I got to put you on a hot seat.
All right, let's go.
I know you're, well, first of all, I'm going to give you some accolades because I've been very fortunate to know you. He's dealt with a lot of, we'll say, really unbehaviored people because he oversaw security with things like the IU basketball team. I don't know why they're rude, though. Some people just, can't shut their mouths, I guess. But then you also saw auditorium. Now you're dealing with, 3-4 times that. What's the security plans you guys have talked about?
Well, one of the things that's great about the university is our strong partnership with all of our local agencies and obviously the state police and then Indiana Department of Homeland Security. And so we have been coordinating now for a year with our public safety officials and public safety officials across that spectrum. And so it is a plan that is coming together to be very well coordinated. But at the end of the day, we all understand that this is going to be a massive influx of people into a town that's built, some would say, probably underbuilt a little bit in terms of infrastructure for the 100,000 people that we have here on a regular basis. And so when you take that massive influx of guests and visitors, there are definitely going to be delays and some congestion and problems. And so we're really thinking through the plan of how do we manage that as opposed to eliminate it, because it will happen. And we've learned that from all of the other sites that have hosted that are similarly sized to Bloomington. So you mentioned Carbondale, Mike, and that's been a huge opportunity for us to learn. They estimate that they saw 3 times their local population on Eclipse Day.
Wow.
And so Casper, Wyoming had delays in the roads leading into and out of town for up to 10 hours.
Wow.
And so in Illinois, they also, it took them 10 hours to empty their largest parking lot.
Wow.
Just because of the congestion on the road. So we're looking at all of those kind of aspects that other people have experienced to say, how do we mitigate that? How do we plan for making this as seamless as possible so that way all of our visitors and all of our residents have a great experience on Eclipse Day? So we're working really closely on that. On the flip side, for medical response and things of that nature, obviously very closely working with the IU Health public safety folks to make sure that we can maintain access to the hospital and do our very best to keep that pathway on the bypass open for emergency response, but then also sprinkling emergency medical response all over the county. So that way they are decentralized and can respond quicker, anticipating that there will be a lot of congestion on the roads.
That's amazing. And you've been, just to restate that, you've been doing this for a year now. You're like last spring, essentially at this time, you're already having these conversations.
Yeah. IU's first conversations were held about this in 2018. Wow. And so it was, a wonderful member of our team, Katie Pilichowski, who is just a brilliant astronomer, one of our faculty members. And she came back from a meeting about people who were going to be hosting later. And she was the first person that noticed, like, hey, we're on the line of totality when we get to 2024, and we should start thinking about this now.
Wow, that's brilliant. I want to talk. You touched on the big thing happening in Memorial Day. We're going to save that for last. Talk about a few of the other options that people have when they come to town.
Sure. Everything I'm talking about, you can find at visitbloomington.com. There's an Eclipse button on there. Just click it. So all this information is there. We created our Eclipse page in 2018 as well. That's how long we've had it, knowing this was happening. But yeah, Indiana University, Monroe County Fairgrounds. There's an event there called Shadow Fest, which is a music festival happening all weekend long. Pink Floyd bands, things like that. Dark Side of the Moon, different things like that happening. Switchyard Park here right in downtown Bloomington has something going on actually leading up to it a couple days before, and then on the afternoon you can go there and watch it. Wonder Lab is having a street party right downtown during the festival right in front of the museum. Monroe Lake at Paintown, you can go there and camp and watch it. Lake Lemon at Riddle Point Park, you can go there and camp and watch it. Butler Winery is having an event on Monday afternoon where you can watch it. And Fowler Pumpkin Patch actually is having a music festival as well where you can camp there and watch it. So again, those are nice. They're spread out all over the county, so that'll help. Let's just think about it. If there's 10 to 20,000 people in each one of those locations, that'll be a nice balance of where people are. But lots of details you can find. You can find a map on our website that has all those locations on it and different things happening with that.
I like the venues you listed because it gives you a wide spectrum there of like you could do stuff with little kids, you can do stuff with senior citizens, you can just go out and listen to groovy music if you want. So
some of them are free, some of them you can buy a ticket for, different things like that. So great balance.
Eric, how are you guys going to try to take advantage of these different sites? Are you working with them at all or talking to them?
Well, we're helping people, advising them on things that they may not be considering. One of the interesting things that we learned through some of the research of other communities that have experienced these eclipses is parking lots. When employers have large parking lots, and we know there's going to be a lot of employers that are working from home that day, just to relieve a lot of the congestion that we'll see around town. But you'll probably have some visitors wanting to kind of set up in those parking lots and view the eclipse, and so make plans around that. If you're at a secure facility and you need to make sure that your properties are kept secure, it's time to start talking about how to do that, because you don't want to get caught at the last minute and run into problems there. So there's a whole host of implications. Portable restrooms, for example, that's another one that a lot of these event spaces need to consider as they have a huge influx of people on their properties as well too. So
how are you and your team helping guide the small businesses to understand the importance of this? I mean, these shops that might have a couple hundred people a day that come through are now going to possibly have a couple thousand coming through to look at everything they have.
Well, first of all, we're encouraging them to stay open because we do think that there is a tremendous amount of benefit to our local small business community here to be open those days and to take advantage of the influx of visitors that will be spending their dollars here. So that's important. And, initiatives like this, we're going to distribute this podcast to all of our members. It'll be widely distributed throughout the community as well, too. We've got a resource page on our website dedicated with lots of business resources for small businesses and large businesses and just about any organization that has an interest in preparing for this event. They can go to our website and view all of those resources there as well, too. And then just a lot of community collaboration. I think that's the key really to success here and to making sure that we have a very successful event is working with all of our partners in the community to get the word out as much as possible.
All right, Doug, what's the big event? We talked about the top 6 you got, but this might be number 7 or number 1. What are you guys doing?
So we announced Monday the stadium event. IU is actually going to have 3 separate areas of activity. So Dunn Meadow, a little bit more of a student-focused program with a live DJ and food trucks and things of that nature. And then in the Arboretum on 10th Street, something that's a little bit more focused for those that would like to be introspective. And so some tables, some crafts and arts that people will be able to take advantage of, yoga and things of that nature to really kind of commune with the earth for those that have that interest. And then the stadium event, which we are calling the Hoosier Cosmic Celebration. And that is headlined by Janelle Monáe. So fresh off appearances at the Grammys and just some phenomenal work that she's been doing in her career. We have one of the most artistic and acclaimed singers coming to Bloomington to perform, along with none other than Captain Kirk himself, Bill Shatner, and then the first woman of color to go into space with NASA, Dr. Mae Jemison, will be also part of our program. And so we are crafting that program to lead up to the actual eclipse moment. But in the stadium, that'll be a dark and somewhat quiet 4 minutes and 2 seconds. And then after the eclipse, then we will have Janelle come on and perform her show. So we are very excited about that. One of the things we've learned from some of our counterparts is the more that we can centralize a lot of the guests and residents of the community in large central events, then the more pressure that takes off of infrastructure. And so part of our reasoning is obviously to provide a great event and have a lot of fun surrounding the eclipse, but also it pays dividends because it'll help keep people in one place. And so after we end the show with Janelle, We're actually going to invite people to stay in the stadium as long as they would like. We're going to be playing some feeds from all over the country that are experiencing the eclipse, and then also have some other fun kind of entertainment planned for them. And so people can hang out with us for I think up until 8 o'clock is the plan right now.
Wow.
And so that should help take some of the pressure off of parking lots and roads as people get home. Because if you think you're going to be somewhere out in town and watching the eclipse, and that's done, shortly after 4, and you'll be home by 5, that's probably not going to be the case unless you're watching it in your own backyard.
So bring a snack.
Yeah, that's right.
Sounds
Bring
like
a snack.
sounds like a cosmic celebratory Woodstock event.
Exactly.
that we're preparing
Right.
for.
So, real quick, going back to your event, is there going to be will William Shatner and will they all talk before? Is that
Yeah.
what will happen?
So we've got some performances from the Jacobs School of Music and other student groups that are planned, and then Mae Jemison will come out and talk a little bit about her experience going into space and the work that she's doing in the science and technology realm yet today. And she's an incredible speaker. We're so excited to have her on our program. And then William Shatner will come out, and he's going to do a spoken word event with a composition from the Jacobs School of Music and performing along with our students. And then we'll take a pause for the actual eclipse, and then Janelle takes the stage.
Perfect. Will he be performing Rocket Man? You can cut that if you want. I have to say I can't keep a straight face.
It is a favorite. I know it's a favorite. So we've asked, but I think he's fixated on his new work that he's producing.
Understood. Well, then I have to come see this.
That's
I
right.
guess. So that's awesome. Mike, going back to you. So what's your hopes you think out of this? You've talked a little bit about the influx of people, but what's your end goal you think with Visit
Bloomington? Doug said it best. Everything we're hearing from other communities that have seen this, it's give them a reason to stay, and so that everybody doesn't leave right when it's over. So kudos to IU for what they're doing in all of these other places. So again, I want to go back to we want to make sure people have a safe, good experience while they're here, so that they come back for other things. A couple things about it is in 2017, that Direct Line of Totality band had 17 million people living in it, and there were about 20 million people that traveled to the eclipse. Well, this time there are about 40 million people that live in the Direct Line of Totality. So that's why some of our numbers are expected to be much bigger, as well as the next eclipse there's one coming up in a few more years, but that's in Alaska. The only place you can see that in North America is in Alaska. So we've been getting calls from photographers we've got photographers calling us that are saying, they've got plans to go wherever the weather is going to be best, all the way from Canada down to Mexico on where that can be. So you've got those photographers that are looking for the ultimate shot of their life, scientists, teachers, and then just adventure travelers and families that are going to be coming here to check it out. So I think, and as Eric talked about, it's making sure people have a plan. What's your plan for before, during, and after? What's your family doing? What's your job doing? What are your coworkers doing? I think my message to anybody watching this is just make sure that everybody is aware of this, and they've got a plan, and they know what they're going to do. Because it can be a great day that you'll remember for the rest of your life. That's what I hear a lot of stuff that I read about is people that did that in 2017 and had an incredible experience. And that's what we want people to do here in Bloomington and Monroe County, so that they do come back for other things in the future.
So when you you mentioned some other visitor centers. What's the best advice they've given you so far from kind of hindsight? Right now they're looking back, and do they have I wish we would have done this different or anything?
It is just what we've been talking about give them a reason to stick around after it's over, because if you're on an interstate or your major roads after it's over, if you don't have anything happening and everybody leaves, as Doug said, at 5 o'clock, it is that's where we're going to run into issues. So it's everybody be patient, everybody have a plan, everybody do what they need to do to take a little extra precaution to be safe. What if you can't get to water, or make sure your car's ready to run type of stuff.
Do you want to add something?
Yeah, I think there are a couple of things here, right? With that influx of visitors and just activity around Bloomington, Mike's exactly right. Making a plan, thinking ahead about gassing your car up on Thursday before, so that way before the visitors come in, you've got gas and you've got a full tank. And we are expecting to have some disruption of cell service. Because when you have that number of people, as nearly everyone has experienced when they go to a large live event, there are only so many things that we can do to supplement that cell service, because so much of it's reliant on permanent infrastructure. And so we anticipate that we'll see some disruption in cell service. And so planning ahead in that regard. Using text rather than calling uses a lot less cell service. So encouraging people to do that. And then also not to rely on their phone unless they've downloaded that information. Because people are, I'll figure out how to get there or whatever. And Waze is great, or Google Maps, whatever you use. But most likely, as we get closer and closer to the time of the eclipse, it'll be very difficult to get service enough to have the bandwidth to operate those kind of apps. And so thinking about that in advance is really important. So that way everybody is able to enjoy it without a lot of stress. I think the other thing that I would say is something we've been working on the IU side, but is definitely a great reminder for all of our local business partners who are absolutely crucial to the success of our efforts, is staffing. And what are we doing to encourage and incent our workforce to actually make it to work that day? And then also preparing to hold them at work as much as possible, and encouraging them to stay, so that way, if the second shift of people who may be coming in an hour before the eclipse can't get there, they can still operate their business and not have to close. Because I think that'll be essential to helping our visitors and guests have a great experience, but also to plan ahead, so that way all of our absolutely essential workers in hospitality and events can prepare for their day and know what they're getting into.
And Eric, I wanted to ask you, so are you trying to work with many of the business owners? So normally in our town, let's say Sundays are a quiet day. They may not be open, or they may close kind of early. My guess is, from just hearing the stories you three have shared with me, this is like, hey, you guys should think about coming in on Saturday, kind of settle in. And yes, we will be fully operational like a big city on Sunday, so things aren't going to close at noon. Are you trying to work
It will be a totally different operating model for that period of time.
Yeah.
And we're doing everything we can to get the word out about that, particularly in the service industry, food and beverage industry. I think, IU Health and emergency response communities are making great plans and really aware of all of that. But, they tend to have a little bit more resources than our small business community does too. So it's important that we're there to help get the word out for them to adjust those operating models while the eclipse is taking place, and in the days ahead of time and directly afterwards too. So
are you looking at this over like a 4-day period? Entry would be say Saturday morning, and exit would be a Tuesday sort of thing.
And we'll start seeing people come into town
Thursday, Friday.
Yeah.
There are events
really?
planned for that. There's plenty of lodging available in the market right now. If you're hearing that things are sold out, that's just not accurate. There's a lot of lodging available, but they do have multiple night minimums and things like that. So, but we're expecting people to start coming in on Friday. It just depends on how enthusiastic you are about it.
Sure.
And staying through Monday. And what Eric's talking about, don't forget Monday is typically a day that many restaurants aren't open in Bloomington. So that's what we're talking about. It's making sure those restaurants are aware of this. And are you going to be open, or are you going to be able to staff that day? Are you ordering supplies far enough in advance and different things like that? Luckily, we know there's a lot of food trucks coming in to fill that gap and different things like that.
From outside of Bloomington? Because I know we got a great
There
food
is
truck.
some of that. There is some of that. We've been getting calls from outside of Monroe County from food trucks that might want to come down if there's places for them to vend and things like that. And again, if you're a temporary vendor of things like that, you can get links to those websites where you can get licenses to do all that stuff right off of our website. We're putting all that stuff on there.
Go ahead. And one of the things that we've been really thinking through and encouraging all of our private business partners to think about as well is supply line, right? We anticipate in talking with the state police that I-69 will be exceptionally congested on Eclipse Day. And so you can't necessarily rely on your Cisco or GFS delivery on Monday morning, because it just may not get here. And so thinking through how do we stock, and also for our food truck partners that are coming in, they obviously have very limited supply space. And so how are they going to restock? Because after they sell through their initial product, they're going to need new supplies. And so we're trying to think through all those elements to help all of our partners prepare for that. And even on campus, we're thinking about how we are using our food establishments and retail spaces, and getting them stocked up. And so we have the good fortune of having a lot of on-site storage. And so we're stocking up and also simplifying menus and things like that to be able to anticipate service to all the crowd.
So have you been working with a lot of the departments to figure out if they're even going to hold classes? This would be a typical Monday, right? It's not a federal holiday. There's no reason for the campus to be closed, but I can only imagine tens of thousands of people walking around and just walking into classrooms and being like, I'm here,
Yeah, exactly. Last summer, the president appointed a university-wide task force of 22 directors of various specialties and expertise areas. And so we're coordinating with those 22 directors in every possible area, from health and safety to academics, our facilities and venues, our folks who are running Residence Life for all of our students. And so we made the decision for the university that we'll not hold in-person classes on Monday the 8th, simply because we know that a lot of our students want to participate in the eclipse. And also it'll be very difficult for a lot of our folks to get to campus, especially those who live maybe a little bit further out, and whether that's faculty, staff, or students. And so it'll be, for most of our employees, a work from home type of day. And we'll also have, all of our essential personnel on campus to make sure that we are able to host all the guests and faculty, staff, and students who are nearby and do come to participate in all these exciting events.
So this is an open question for all three of you. We know that the older listeners and such, they love podcasts, they love reading. Who's going to go on social media here? Are you guys going to become the astronomy dancers on TikTok or something? I mean, come on, you have this youth that's so excited about it. How are you guys getting the messaging out through those avenues?
Well, we've been posting on our platforms for months about it, and we will continue to do that. But I actually think that stuff will take care of itself as long as we have tags that we're putting out there for public for people to use and things like that. We know the youth of America will be posting all of those videos and things.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, we're working with our partners and at IU, at Ivy Tech, to get the word out to students there. And yeah, it's I think the chamber is just kind of a natural place that a lot of people go to anyways when they're looking at different community events and things that are happening. So we'll have we continue to have a strong presence there with our Facebook, social media, Instagram accounts, LinkedIn accounts, you name it. And as we continue to get closer and closer to Eclipse Day, we're going to have more and more content to put out about this because we really do want people to be informed. This is something that's going to put Bloomington on the national map, and we're very fortunate to have the wonderful investments that our partners at Indiana University have put into this. Ideally, we have a really nice, bright, sunshiny day, and we can see the maximum impact. I think, a lot of times people say, well, what's going to happen if the weather doesn't turn out the way that you want it to? But we know regardless, whether it's a rainy day or a sunny day, we're going to have a big influx of people coming here, and this is our opportunity to shine as a community. So we're really excited about it.
What about you, Mr. Booher? What are you guys doing?
So obviously we've got a great marketing and communications structure at IU, and so we're taking full advantage of that. We've set up the eclipse.iu.edu website where all of the university-based events are taking place, a lot of information on health and safety, everything around the educational opportunities that we're offering. We have researchers, as Mike mentioned, coming from all over the world to study with our researchers and experience the eclipse here. As one of the academic journals said, Bloomington has hit the lottery in terms of being on the line of totality.
That's very scientific.
It is, I know,
very, very scientific.
And people are really excited to come here because of the value and reputation of our institution, but also because Bloomington is such a great town and is known for its hospitality. And so I know our research partners from all over the world are excited to get here and experience what we have to offer. But for the general public and especially younger audiences, we're leveraging all of our social channels to make sure they understand that this is truly a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and it's something that they'll be able to remember forever. And so we want to encourage them to take full advantage of it. And it's also the way we build community, right? We're all in this together. We work hard. We rely on one another, and take care of that to all experience something that's going to be pretty monumental.
I think it'll be interesting. I'm going to take us back in time, but the last time I can remember that big a group of people, almost 30 years ago, was when then Coach Knight got fired, because I remember being a student and walking down and go, ESPN has a van? Like, because they were just taking over. I don't even think they were asking you guys for permission. They were just pulling up CNN. I mean, in Bloomington, we're used to, okay, maybe the indie media comes down once in a while, but it was like, oh, New York is here, and they're just lining the streets of the campus, just kind of wherever they could get a shot of the students or the faculty or Bob Knight when he came out, that sort of thing. I think that's the closest I can think of, right? I mean,
yeah, in terms of a spontaneous event, for sure.
Yeah.
And in terms of national media concentrating in Bloomington, what we'll see this time will certainly rival that. And we're working proactively to host and manage their experiences, so that way they can get what they need to do their jobs, and also to make sure that we're putting all of our efforts and the great town that we live in the best possible light.
I was so excited to ask the hostess, because getting to know you guys, what we're talking about today is, you could be an individual visitor that comes out. You could be a media person. You could be a larger company that wants to come in. And all three of these gentlemen here have some sort of, I'm going to call it package, but plans for you, which is pretty unique, because for a town our size, we might just be like, well, if you can't get a hotel,
right,
go on down the room. But instead, I love it. It's like, no, you don't have to go anywhere. No, we're fine. So Mike, going back to some of your conversations with your peers, what was some of their biggest challenges outside of volume of people that they saw?
Making sure, the safety stuff still continuing, making sure people understand Eclipse glasses. At Visit Bloomington, several of us have. We ordered 25,000 pairs of Eclipse glasses that we're distributing to our partners.
Wow.
So making sure you have the proper equipment to watch it and different things like that. But again, we were very lucky, I think, here in Monroe County. Many of my peers, they worked in their community, and they created one central event that everybody went to. Well, like I talked about, we've got at least 8. There's probably more. There are more than the 8 that I talked about. But with IU and what they're doing and all those other things, we're lucky to have those events and have things spread out. So that was. I think that's what's different. We learned from that. Didn't need to have one central event that we were all kind of in on.
Eric, are you hoping that this might help attract new businesses that want to come in here if they have this great experience within town?
Well, yeah, I think, that's always a goal, is, really showcasing Bloomington and Monroe County the best that we can. And anytime you have a large number of people coming into town, we want to put our best foot forward, because this is a great place to do business. It's Bloomington is an awesome community. We've got room to grow. And this is a great way for us to be able to demonstrate that on the national stage, really.
Doug, what's your big dream? What's your big hope takeaway from this event for you? We've talked about safety, security, good experience, but what?
Yeah, safety obviously is first and foremost on our minds. Making sure that we're great stewards of the university's resources and bringing people in, and really hosting them well as for our own population. But I think at the end of the Eclipse Day, my hope is that people have had a great experience, that they can walk away and say, wow, that was better than I expected. Or, wow, Bloomington and IU did an excellent job of hosting us, or making things enjoyable, providing great content, taking care of their essential needs, and giving people a story to walk away with, to talk about for years to come, about how their Eclipse experience was unique and positive.
So is one of the hope, or maybe the better question would be, are you partnering with any of the streaming services? So if they want to do a live feed from Bloomington, maybe they could see it from Memorial Stadium or one of the events?
Some of the media will be going live from here, and we're in the process of finalizing some of that. Because of the nature of the stadium performance and our contracts with those performers, we can't necessarily live stream that entire program, but we are working on ways of being able to package that up for me to be able to take and show a little bit of the experience that people are going to have at the stadium event.
One of the questions that I think you guys get a lot is, what happens if the weather isn't fully going to cooperate? We don't have that sunny day that we hope to have. How are you guys handling that question?
Right. I talked about that earlier about photographers and stuff watching the weather patterns and having backup plans and things like that. But I think the statistic is that every April 8th there's a chance, over a 50%, 60% chance that it might be cloudy that day. But regardless, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it's still going to get dark here for 4 minutes. So hopefully, as we've talked about, we hope it's a beautiful sunny day so you can see that better. But we're still going to get the full effect of the eclipse,
very cool,
regardless of the weather.
The same answer for the chamber. Okay. And what happens if it's cloudy? Will Doug come out and tap dance or make it a?
I certainly hope not. Here's the thing. Our show will be rain or shine. Our activities in Dunmet will be rain or shine. Same thing with the Arboretum. Obviously, we have stood up our emergency operations center plan, and they will actually start at the beginning of the weekend, and 24-hour monitoring of weather and any kind of emergency that's taking place, medical needs, our traffic congestion and managing traffic. And so they will be with us in monitoring for weather. So the only thing that would shut us down, just like a football game, quite frankly, is if we have lightning in the area or severe winds. And so we'll be monitoring for all those safety elements. But we're optimistic. We're unapologetically optimistic. And so we're expecting a great day without any of those concerns on April 8th.
I am just so impressed with the amount of events. I knew people had been planning, but thank you for sharing all that, because that's just amazing to me that it's like, oh, I can either hide in my home or come out, and man, there's just a lot of options out there. So I'll put you each on the hot seat. What event do you want to go to?
Well, I want to be there at IU. I want to see the concerts, but I also want to be down on Kirkwood. I want to be all over the community that day. It's just going to be a lot of fun. And there's going to be so much to do. It's kind of hard to
choose,
get to all
right?
of it. Yeah.
I know I'm asking you which child you love best, but
I can't answer that. There's so much going on. I want to be in many places. We haven't even talked about Ellettsville. Ellettsville is preparing for 100,000 visitors. The exact center of the direct line of totality goes right over the top of Wee Willie's.
Wow.
So they're doing a great job over there preparing.
So let's touch on that for a second,
right,
because I explain how that is, because is that a city far away? It's only probably 15 minutes from campus, right?
10 minutes from here,
so
sure.
That's all part of Monroe County, and they're also hosting people too.
Of course. All of Monroe County is right over that. We fall in that band, but there is obviously there's a center point to that, but it comes right through, almost right down I-69 all the way to Evansville. So again, Indiana, South Central Indiana is a premier viewing location in the world for this. It's incredible. That is, people are coming. Get ready. They're coming. We are one of the best college destinations in the country. They're coming to Bloomington to see this.
So the eclipse is coming, right? Because
Exactly.
if I said the HBO line, then we have to pay money. Right. So yeah, the eclipse is coming. So that's a pop culture reference for my producer. If I get him to giggle like a girl one time, it's a good interview. So, and I assume you're going to be biased, but you'll probably be at the IU event. Right?
I will definitely be wearing a pair of my Adidas Ultra Boost shoes, first of all, because everybody should plan to be in comfortable shoes that day, because you're going to do a lot of walking. Bloomington is a great pedestrian and biking town. And so I think that'll be a great mode of transportation for people. So I plan to be on my bike to get around to the various things we're hosting at IU. But when it comes time for the eclipse, I think I'll find myself at the stadium and getting ready for Janelle.
That's
so
cool.
It's which, by the way, if people are looking for tickets to the Janelle Monáe show and the Hoosier Cosmic Celebration, they can find those at iuauditorium.com or eclipse.iu.edu.
And we probably should say in transparency, we're recording a little bit before February 29th, but on the 29th, when you're watching this, hopefully those tickets are on sale at 10 a.m.
They'll be on sale at that point, yeah.
At that point.
Yep.
So February 29th, tickets drop, or is it before that?
They drop today, actually. So
okay.
We're on sale and anticipate that folks will be visiting those two websites to get access to those tickets and learn more about the show, and we'll get them accommodated. And I would also point out that ticket sales are range from $15 for an entry level ticket all the way up to like $79, I think, is our top ticket, which is an absolute steal if you bought a concert ticket in the last 10 years. It's a great price. So the goal here is to get as many people in the stadium as possible to enjoy that amazing show.
Will you guys talk about where they can find more information through your organizations, please?
Sure. Again, visit bloomington.com, and right at the top of that page is a big Eclipse button. So you can just push that, and there's links to everything Doug just talked about, as well as safety information, lodging, all the information about these places where you can watch it and things like that. So we're just constantly updating and just trying to share information about what's happening. So again, as we've all talked about, people have a safe, quality experience while they're here.
Good.
www.chamberbloomington.org. We have lots of business resources regarding the eclipse on April 8th. Check us out there. Go to our Facebook page, Greater Bloomington Chamber of Commerce, on Facebook. Like us and see all the content that we're putting out there. Also on LinkedIn, Instagram. So this is really exciting. It's an opportunity for Bloomington to really showcase that we're a unique, vibrant, great community. And we're looking forward to it. And I just can't thank our partners enough at IU with Visit Bloomington. Thanks so much for all of the planning and work that has been put into this once-in-a-lifetime event.
So get here, be here. We're going to do it right. You've heard of Hoosier Hospitality. Again, I know we have a lot of people watch outside. Come, you'll see what it's all about. I appreciate you, gentlemen. Thank you so much. Again, we had Mike, Eric, and Doug, and this is a special recording of Mind Your Business inside the beautiful Bloomington Chamber of Commerce office. Thank you for hosting us. I'm your podcast master, Andrew Lambert. Until next time, stay healthy, stay happy, and wash yourself tip to tail.
Thanks for listening to Mind Your Business, brought to you by the Greater Bloomington Chamber of Commerce. Please continue the conversation with Andrew at his website, lambertconsulting.biz, or find him and other episodes of the podcast at Lambert Consulting on Facebook. If you have a business question, email Andrew at lambertconsulting.biz. Until next time, this has been Mind Your Business.